Hey everybody, sorry I'm late. We had a little issue connecting to our internet feed here. Um, just rolling with the punches. But anyway, good morning. I'm Nick from Define Life, and it is now time for our daily live session to talk about how you are defining your day and focusing on what really matters to live the life that you want. I hope everybody had a great Memorial Day weekend. We did. We practiced some social distancing. We had people over our house, like one family at a time, to hang out and enjoy some friends. Pennsylvania's opening up. Our our case count is really low, but I'm still incredibly cautious about what's going on, and trying to keep a good head about this. I think what I might do as a person dealing with this is try to uh, uh, keep an eye on it locally and let everybody else go out and see what happens, and then I'll kind of go based on that. I'd rather be cautious and better safe than sorry. But for the most part, had a good time. We cooked out a lot. I cooked steaks yesterday. I cooked burgers. I cooked not all yesterday, but over the weekend I cooked burgers. What else? I mean, we grilled corn, all sorts of good stuff. Enjoyed the warm weather. It is going to be a really warm week, so we're enjoying that. Um, and yeah, just having a good time. Having a good time. Still trying to get myself organized, and I think that's really a big issue with me right now. I'm sorry, I'm trying to make sure I don't get any more phone calls in the middle of any of this. Um, I've been trying to get myself back to a good routine. So last week is probably the first week that I really been, focusing on keeping a good morning routine. Not been exhausted, but still pretty tired. Still pretty worn out physically, just from the amount of work we're doing. And I've been trying to tilt that balance. Like if you can visualize the amount of work I have to do, and the amount of housework I have to do. Heavy on the housework, low on the work. Not that I don't have to do it, just that the housework has been the major priority. And I'm trying to tip those scales, and now we're a little bit more than 50-50, heading more towards work. Uh, and that feeling of going toward the urgent constantly, the urgent housework that needed to be done to organize our current situation, right? It started to weigh on me, and I started to notice it towards the end of last week, and it really started to like, I don't know if it was bringing me down or what it was, but it was creating a mental shift in me, like I wasn't doing what I needed to be doing. Like it just kind of it wasn't so much guilt as I know it needed to be done, but it was just something was going on. And I was trying to talk about it with a buddy of mine, and he's like, I know what you're talking about. I don't know exactly what it is, but it's this feeling that like you're not doing the most important thing in your life right now. You're doing what has to happen, but you're not doing the most important thing in your life, and it's almost like not living authentically. And so there's this feeling, this overwhelming feeling that just makes you feel bad. And so I was trying to, give myself a little grace there and get through that, while also, just getting stuff done and shifting my focus a little bit. So, we're getting there. We're getting there. Good morning, Levi. Good morning, Angel. Good morning, Pam. Good morning, Sandy, Amy, Sheila. Good to see you, Sheila. Good morning, everyone. Normally don't get the opportunity to catch live events. How is everyone doing? Sheila, good to see you. Thanks for joining us. Here, let me get to the meme of the day. Um, 1 minute you're young and fun, and the next you're turning down the stereo in your car to see better. Has anybody done this? Like I've been doing this all my life. I mean, I was a teenager and I would turn down the stereo to find a story you're looking for, right? And I still do it now. And if like anybody's talking to me, like I can't have that distraction. If anybody's talking to me, I turn down the stereo. I ask them to be quiet. I need to see what I'm doing. So yeah, I don't know. It's just a focus thing. I think it's a good example of the brain not being able to focus on two things. When you're really trying to focus on something, you have to have all of the other senses turned down a little bit. And, I talk about this when, like people tend to leave TVs on while they're working, or even maybe the radio. And a lot of times that's not doing any good. It's giving your brain that little bit of feedback or that little bit of information in the background. And it's taking, like, as you're hearing things that are interesting, you might momentarily be breaking your concentration, but that really stops you from getting down to a good concentration as to whatever you're doing. I also see this with people that fall asleep to the TV. In my own experience, if I fall asleep in front of the TV, my brain, even though I'm unconscious, is still hearing the conversations. And as certain things interesting happen, I wake up a little bit and listen to it, and then I fall back asleep. And so me sleeping in front of the TV is never good, and I'm certain that that's probably happening to other people. So, it's a phenomenon that I don't think we're really aware of. It's great to have something on in the background that's distracting, as we're doing busy work. If I'm doing things like balancing my checkbook or finishing our profit and loss, or like doing our QuickBooks is one of the big things that I always have something on in the background, because it's mindless work that I don't want to really focus on. Like it would be mind numbing, and I couldn't do it if I didn't have anything going on in the background. But if I had something going on in the background, like planning a video or planning a course, or formulating a web page or advertising strategy, that sort of thing, or following instructions to repair a problem, right? Like reading a white paper, right? So that sort of thing. If I have other things I'm trying to listen to, I'm not able to do the thing I really need to do. So it's constantly pulling me off. And as we talk about multitasking, like it just makes you really inefficient. So you have to break that habit of trying to be mindless. We're almost like trying to be mindless and doing things, and that's not the right way to be. So you have to figure out, at what points do we want that distraction and what other points don't we? So Amy says she's guilty of that too, right? Yeah, yeah. I think a lot of people do that. I think a lot of people do it, turn it down the radio. So yesterday, yesterday was Memorial Day. I've had a problem with. I have a problem. I've had a problem with all the Happy Memorial Day messaging out there, the advertising messaging, and I think my issue, and maybe it all started like when people really started using veterans as like political arguments. I think I started getting real sensitive to anything that did that. And so even Memorial Day for me was like, like Memorial Day is supposed to be like a day of remembrance, right? And so it's the kickoff to summer, and for decades it's been like the first day of summer, the summer season. It's when we go to the pool. It's when we go do all the things. Apparently mattress shopping too. But I've just had this internal issue with Memorial Day for myself, and I got to thinking about it this weekend, and I wrote an email about it. It's actually, I posted it also, where, I guess if I were someone that had lost my life, for this country, in any situation, I guess, what would I want for the people I left behind? I'd want them to be happy. I'd want them to, do everything that I had fought for them to do. And so I kind of maybe give myself and society a pass when they say Happy Memorial Day now, and when they have sales and bargains and, more Memorial Day blowouts. I think maybe now I'm starting to come to the realization that it's okay, because if it were me, that's one of the things I enjoy about this country, is that we can barbecue with friends, that we can shop, I can get whatever I want at a moment's notice, and I love great deals as much as anybody. So maybe Memorial Day, is a happy time, and I think about, even thinking forward, as morbid it may be, to my to maybe what my funeral might look like. And you I don't want people to be bawling over me. I would actually prefer it if so they had a big old party. Maybe not to celebrate me passing, but at least have a good time together and maybe joke around and all that sort of thing. So, I'd rather enjoy. I guess I'd rather enjoy it. I'm just trying to wrap my head around the whole Memorial Day thing, and I'm coming around to it. So we're getting there. Last week we spoke a lot about time blocking, and we're going to get into a little bit today. But there's one person in the user group that went over something that she's doing. If you're in the user group, if you are a user, jump in there and take a look at it. It's Anna. She has talked about it difficult to give everything a specific time, and so what she did is create a gigantic AM block, a block for priorities, and then a gigantic PM block. So she has things she wants to do in the morning. She has her blocked off focus time, and then she has a gigantic PM list of things that she needs to do. And she also says one of the strategies is that she tries to do everything within one room before she leaves that room. So if there's a bunch of stuff like getting dressed, brushing your teeth, like if you have all that in one room, you can do it, and then walk out and you don't have to walk back into that room. So you're not going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, right? And that makes a lot of sense. And I think it's a great strategy to get into time blocking. If you are not to the point where you can go from like looking at my day right here. Some of my stuff disappeared. All right, I'm going to have to check into that. So for me, I have this live session, and then at 11 I have a catch-up call with Luann, and then I have an 11:30 lunch, and then 12 o'clock I'm learning, and then 1 o'clock I'm organizing some our inventory and things, and then 2 o'clock. So I have like everything ordered, from like ordering product to payroll to reviewing our social media. All that stuff has its own time slot. Now, if you're not to the point where you can do all of that, I even have dinner in there, but you have a list of things you need to do, start taking a list like that of things you want to do, say before noon or 11 o'clock, before lunch, whatever, and write all of those things down and try to put them in an order that's most efficient. And then if you can get them into that order every day, sort of like creating that ideal day we talk about, you get them into that order every day, and the more efficiently you can do them. And if something happens, you find one's not working for you, you can try to swap it out and see how it works, and then go that way. But the more you can get things in order and make it so that you're not thinking about it constantly about what do I got to do next, and just get it done. All those things that you routinely do every day. So I'm actually going to go into it right now. And I hope you don't mind, but I'm going to give a list or talk about that list of things that she has there. Oh, tell me that's not going to show up for me now. So, and you get into the feed because I wasn't prepared to go into it. Now it's not going to show up for me. Thank you, Facebook. All right, here we go. All right, so her list in the morning is make coffee, laundry, empty the dishwasher, drink more coffee, or maybe it's drink the coffee now that you made it, define my day, shower, dress, pick up bath, feed the dog, walk the dog, get mom up, set up the pills, refill mom's drinks, mom breakfast, straighten the kitchen, straighten the living room, straighten mom's room, clean off bed and nightstand, make bed, uncover bird feed and water, feed fish on certain days, and then aquarium maintenance on Saturday, right? So she has this whole list of things that she needs to do almost every morning, and then certain days she has other things to do. But these are the things that always need to be done. So she's creating like a gigantic list of habits, and she's trying to organize them into habit stacks, which is great. And the more like you get into this rhythm, you can start to see that you'll do things the same time every day. And really what you can start to do is chunk these down into those habit stacks that we talk about, where you're doing something from like 8 until 8:15 or 8:15 to 8:30, and then 8:30 to 9:30, and you'll start to get a better view of this. And you'll also see when things kind of weasel their way into your morning, how it throws off that routine. But I like that she also has that. She also has a priority and to-do time blocked off in the middle of the day. So after her morning routine is done, she's hitting that priority and to-do time, and then moving on to that PM list of things she has, like clean the kitchen after dinner, put away clothes, feed and walk the dog, feed and give mom her pills. All that stuff that happens at the end of the day. That's her kind of shutdown routine, right? But so we can start big and then start getting more granular as you get used to it, and that's okay. Um, and so as you're going forward with this, kind of look at it that way too. Like you can start broad and get more specific as you get used to it. It's small steps, right, that we always talk about. So, and that's sort of how I've been doing things too. Now I have mine more specific, but like today, as I've getting back down to business after basically a 4-day long weekend, I have a list of things that are left over from last week, and I need to figure out what I want to focus on this week, and how I want to plan it out through the week. So what I do is create a giant list of things to do, and let me go to it right now. Actually, I can kind of walk through this. So what I did is I actually put it into my to-do list page, right? And so I really don't have anything left over from last week on the to-do list. And what I did was spitball every single thing that I need to do this week, whether it was a priority or a to-do list item, and I threw it on my to-do list. And I started marking some of the things that I could delegate to somebody else. I started marking the things that need to be priorities this week that align with my monthly goals and my weekly milestones. And then I'm going to leave the other things on there that are just to-do list items. And I picked what needed to get done today as a priority. And for me, my priority, I really only have one priority today, and that is to continue getting things in order from a business perspective. So the past couple of weeks, I've been getting the house in order. Now my focus, shifting those scales, right? My focus is getting my business in order. So I am delegating a lot of things that I was doing for the house, things that I can now delegate, either because I can hire somebody to do it, or I can ask someone else to do it for me, or I can even have the kids do it. Like I've done the big stuff now, so there's all these little loose ends open, and I can't spend much more time doing them now. So other people can start taking things over. And then I'm also now reviewing all of the things that we need to be doing in our business for the next couple of weeks going forward. And one of the things is getting my office in order. So I'm still living in this office, and it's not done because I need to like buy furniture, and I'm trying to figure out. I've been hoping that as I live in this space for a couple of weeks, I'd figure out how I wanted it to flow, look, how it would work efficiently for me. And that's not working. Like nothing's smacking me in the head and go, oh, this is what you should do. So I need to be more intentional about that right now. And so now I've actually scheduled time to figure out my office. I'm going to look at some office layouts that other people have. I'm going to shop around for some furniture. I'm going to try to see what best works as far as how we're going to set up the camera in the office. One for live shots and one for pre-recorded courses or classes that we're going to do. So there's a lot of components to this that I'm trying to figure out in this space so that it works efficiently and it doesn't look messy, that everything's easily accessible for me. And it's something that now, as nothing's kind of hit me, now it's just gonna, now I need to be more intentional about it. As I don't have other emergencies saying, screaming at me, do this, do this, do this, right? So now that nothing's screaming at me at the moment, and I can offload some other things, I can be more intentional about my time. And being intentional was a huge thing for me today. As I'm sitting down sitting down in the morning, I spent a lot of time writing out this to-do list. and I spend a lot of time like trying to figure out like what I should be doing, what I should be spending my time on, and what I should not be spending my time on. Even if it costs me a little bit of money to hire somebody to do something, um, would it be far more beneficial for me to hire somebody than to waste time doing it myself? I was talking to one of my buddies last night. So we have the previous owners took some doors off of the room going from the kitchen to the den. And, there were like French doors there, and they took them off and filled in the thing. And I was telling him, I have a guy that's going to come in and do it, and it costs like $250. And he's like, man, you could do that yourself. And I said, what can happen is it'll do it myself, right? I might need to buy tools for it. I certainly need to buy screws for it. I'm going to spend a couple of hours doing it, and I'm going to hurt myself probably. And if it doesn't come out good, I'm not going to be happy. And I may end up having to hire somebody to do it anyway to fix the mistakes that I made. Whereas if I can just hire somebody to do it, and if it costs me $250, then it's over and I can do other things, right? So, whatever I value my time at, whether it's $20 an hour, $50 an hour, $150 an hour, if somebody else can do that work in 2 or 3 hours, and I don't have to buy anything else, I don't have to worry about doing it wrong, and I can go off and do other productive things, even if that thing is spend time with my kids, it just depends on where my priorities are and where my time is spent. Then it's a good decision to let somebody else handle it and do what I need to do, right? So trying to look at that, in all regards, and it helps me bring more calm to my life. And so this morning I'm sitting on the back patio. It's a nice warm morning. I'm listening to the birds. I'm filling out my thing. I define my day and my plan, and coming to that realization that I need to spend more time doing this, like being intentional, backing off. And that's what we're going to talk about in a minute here, but I want to hit the comments real quick. But that's my weekly plan where I'm at so far. Deborah says she puts on her glasses to hear better. True story. I think, again, that's like you're trying to filter out distractions, right? I get that. I hear you there. Angel says, I often work with my playlist called Music to Code By. For me, that increases focus. When I need to focus, I can't listen to my favorite types of music. So, Angel, I do the same thing. So if I listen to music I like, I'm listening to the lyrics, or I'm listening to that part of the song I like, and I can't concentrate. Now, if I'm exercising, if I'm doing yard work, then I can listen to that music. But what I have to listen to when I'm working, or if I'm trying to drown out background noise, I listen to like piano sonatas, right? I have this Pandora station called Work Focus, and I think it was even suggested to me by Pandora, and so I just now have that, and it's all like orchestral music that that there's no lyrics, and it's just like background noise, and they say that even sparks the brain a little bit, so that's what I do there. So yeah, great point. Good morning, Brenda. Patty says, I agree. It's okay to go on with living our lives and still remember that sacrifices that some have given also. And I think that's it. So we can't go too far. We're going back to this Memorial Day conversation. We can't go too far, into like, that's sort of like the whole thing with people like radicalized either way. There's so much gray area. Like we don't need to be, I don't need to walk around sad on Memorial Day, right? But I think what we can do is just take a moment and say, like, appreciate, right? You take a moment and say, we're here because of that. And I really appreciate that. And in response, I'm going to enjoy this gift I was given, And I think that's somewhere around the proper mentality to have in a lot of different areas. So Patty, good point. All right. So, what I really wanted to talk about today was this balance between chaos and calm. And I think that spending too much time in either one is bad, right? And I relate it to my experience here, and in a lot, you can look at this in a lot of areas. If you spend too much time depressed or suppressed or sedentary, it's bad for you, right? If you're too in your feelings a lot, it's bad for you. Um, Whereas also, if you're like too much of a driver, it's bad for you. If you're always on, it's bad for you. We talked about it a couple of weeks ago, where you're like just pegging the red line constantly, you wear yourself out. Whereas if you're down here in sedentary, things creep up on you, right? Tasks creep up on you, poor health creeps up on you. And so, finding that middle ground where you're just sort of in cruise control and accomplishing things is where we want to get to. Now, that doesn't mean we don't go down here once in a while, and it doesn't mean we don't go up here. I mean, even when you're driving your car, you go from here to here. That's how you get to where you want to go. You're going up a hill, you hit up here, right? If you want to accelerate, you're going up here, especially if you're trying to accelerate quickly. But then when you're cruising, you're here, right? Or if you're slowing down, or if you have to stop for a minute because there's a red light, an accident, or you need to stop and get gas, you're down here. So, you're going from here to here. And you look at it in exercise. Great cardio exercise has you, slowly ramp up, and you try to maintain a heart rate around here, but sometimes you spike it and sometimes you bring it down. If you stay up here the entire time, you're going to wear yourself out and you might have a heart attack. Where if you come down here, you're really not doing any good. But you can zoom out from a particular like 10 or 30-minute exercise and bring it out to your day. If you were exercising nonstop throughout the day, your joints, your muscles, everything would hurt you. You would wear your body out. But if you're down here and you're not exercising at all, the same thing is happening. So you need to go from here to here. And if we can bring that back to us, living our lives, we can't be up here constantly. We can't be all energy all the time, always pushing forward all the time, always chaotic, always running from one thing to another. And we can't be all the way down here, always enjoying the moment, or always, observing things, or always just sitting in our feelings, or always, vegging out and watching TV. Like, you can't be always here and you can't be always here, right? So anybody that tells you, even now in this time, like, don't be productive, like, don't focus on productivity, well, that's probably wrong, right? I mean, you can't be down here. You, again, can't try to be super productive. You have to find that, new normal everybody talks about and be somewhere around here. And a lot of people redlined really hard during all of this, and then they crashed and they're down here. But we have to come back up and find that place where we're trying to equalize where our day is going to be. And even now, like, we're 3 months into this now, and we're still trying to figure this out. And so if you're somebody that has been hanging out down here for too long, we need to get up, right? And if you're someone that's up here that's burned out now, you need to come down and rest a little bit and then find this place. And so now, as we're going forward, look, the country's starting to reopen. We're trying to figure things out. In my own life, I've been up here for a couple of weeks after being down here for a while, as we were just nervous about. So it's funny because we were nervous about, whether we were going to be able to even close on the house. We didn't know what was going on. All things were changing, right? So we're down here physically, activity wise, but we're up here mentally, And now, like, as this happened, now we've been up here physically and, mentally kind of all over the place. So we're trying to equalize all of it. And, a lot of people have been down here just sort of worried, but up here emotionally, based on what's going on right now. Other people have been, working because they're taking care of kids, they're taking care of parents. So you're up here mentally and physically. So trying to find this place in the middle where we're healthy, but also realizing that we're going to go up and down and it's going to happen. But what I think we need to be focused on right now, I think we need to be focused on, like, the areas that we've let slide. What have we let slide right now? Like, so as our physical health slipped, mine has, and that's something that I've been intentional about trying to repair over the past week, and I'm going to double down on it this week. Physical health needs to improve. That's it. Has to happen. I need to be in better shape. I need to be better prepared. I need to be healthier. I want to live. Like, this can't put my whole life, Like this can't screw up the rest of my life, right? So there's that. Um, and the other thing we have to think about is if, like, as things are easing right now, what's going to happen in the next couple of months? Like, say we ease up too much, right? Say we open things up and people start getting infected again. Then what happens? We're going to be right back to where we were a couple of months ago. How prepared are you for that? Right? I mean, there's still a lot going on. I saw a headline like 19 states are actually still in the increase. Now, like, we spiked in metro areas and then they've brought theirs down and it's kind of flattened out and gone across the country. So now more rural areas are popping up with this. And whatever you believe as far as how serious it is or how, not serious or whatever, is it like the flu? Is it not like the flu? We don't even need to get into that debate. The big thing we need to be worried about is, are we prepared if it goes bad again? It's like risk mitigation mode is kind of what we need to get into. So, are we saving our money? Are we taking care of the things we need to take care of right now, the priorities? Are we looking forward 3 or 6 months to make sure that we have things in the proper place so that whatever happened, like, what are we learning from this past couple of months? Have we learned, where we were vulnerable, what we need to improve, and how can we change, where we are right now to be better prepared in the future? Do we need to take advantage of a couple of sales and maybe buy some dry goods or go out and, like, so for me, we're looking at these meat shortages and people are still talking about these packing plants, people still being infected. Maybe they have to shut down. Maybe the meat shortage is going to get worse. So go out and get a couple more packages of meat and throw them in a freezer, right? From a business perspective, how is business going to go forward? If you're an employee, what if, like, your business didn't shut down this time, but what if they have to shut down the next time? What if kids can't go back to school in August? There's a lot of questions out there, and we might believe, well, that's not going to happen. That doesn't mean it won't. And so we need to look at all the things that could potentially happen and try to prepare as best we can. And I'm not saying we have to go red line with it, right? We don't want to go here. We don't want to ignore it and pretend like it's not going to happen either. You want to find yourself somewhere here where you're seeing, okay, this is a potential risk. How could I, in a thoughtful manner, prepare for it? And if it doesn't happen, great. If it does, I can say I did what I needed to do. And so that's how we're looking at it from a personal and a business perspective. Trying to look ahead 3, 6, maybe even 9 months and say, where do we need to be as a family, as a business, so that we can take care of what we need to take care of. And Sheila, this is the thing that is written in the beginning of each book, and it's just such a truth. Small steps, big results, and so it goes into that, like, daily process of just taking those steps every day and getting further than you've ever got, because you're not wearing yourself out, you're not redlining, you're not wearing yourself out. But you're still moving forward, so you're not down here constantly. You're stepping forward, and we get that hockey stick approach, right? We get that hockey stick like results. And Sheila says, honestly, I've embraced my new normal. Teaching remotely has really opened up an opportunity that I have not had in 20 years. That's really cool. I actually have 3 times during the day that I have at least 90-minute blocks of time to work towards some of my goals. I break those 3 90-minute blocks of time into me, work, and home, and I'm working goals each day in each area for 90 minutes. That's awesome. That's awesome. And if you are a Define My Day user and you're not in the user group, you got to get in there and follow Sheila. Every day she's in there posting about what's going on and asking you to post with her what you're doing. She is a huge role model in that group. Sheila, I appreciate you a lot. Thank you. Yeah, and Pam says, progress, not perfection, something I need to remind myself constantly. Yeah, and that's like me. I look at how I've been doing things around the house, there is so much to do around here that I have just been trying to. I have a limited amount of time each day, a limited amount of energy, and so I need to pick the big things to like gobble up and get done. And it's not going to be perfect. If I try to make it perfect, it's just not going to happen. And so, or I'll get bogged down in it, and other things are going to pile up. So I just need to do the thing that has the most impact and move on to the next, and realize that I may have to circle back and touch up the finer points of that big thing that I tackled. I might have to circle back and finish it, or maybe ask somebody to help. But tackling that huge thing, I just need to get it done, right? And then once it's done, I can start moving on to the next stuff. But it has to be, progress. Like every day there has to be progress. If I let an entire day go, I'm going to fall behind it. I'm going to feel terrible about it. And it has a mental strain on you. And then you have less energy to go at it the next day. So Debbie says, I'm increasing my food supply for vegan foods. My proteins are shelf stable and available. So that's very smart. And that's what I've been trying to do on our end. We've been buying more stuff that's shelf stable that can hang out in our laundry room / pantry on our shelving unit, and we can always take from it as we need it. So we buy fresh stuff now, use the fresh stuff, but we always have that shelf stable stuff should the worst thing happen. And Pamela, this is exactly it. And I touched on this last week, and I'm glad you're bringing it back around. DMD, like define my day, like living a defined life. When you own it, when you live it, when it becomes a tool, a part of your day, it really, like you integrate it into everything, and you keep bringing your focus back to these priorities, and the practice becomes who you are. And it's just not something you're doing. It's the way of life that you're living. And when it gets to be that for you, is when like things just start clicking, and it's just you're doing it instinctively. And Sheila says, "Thank you, Nick. I love the DMD process." Well, you make it so much better. Thank you, Sheila. All right, so Debbie says, for me, the preparation for what is to come is risk management. Absolutely. I now have a solid inventory of my freezers, pantry, and have a garden in. I've made the decision to go forward with being more self-reliant and able to have 6 to 9 months supply of items that would normally come from a market. My work life is next. Making decisions and taking the plunge into what will be. It is an adventure, and I don't have all the answers, but I am moving forward. And yeah, and that's it, right? So having that 6 to 9 month supply of items, and you find, and that's a trial and error process. So we bought things 3 months ago that we've not even touched yet, and we've bought other things that we've gone through a couple of times. So we need to observe it and realize what is taking, like what we're drawing from inventory, and what things that we don't need to continue to stock up on. You might have a year's worth of toilet paper, like some people, and not need to stock up on that at all, while you don't have any of Kleenex, like whatever. But yeah. And so once you have yourself prepared, whether frozen foods or shelf stuff or a garden, which is great, we're trying to do that too. Then you get onto your work life and you look at it in sort of the same manner. What could my income look like? What's a worst case scenario? How much savings do I have? Is there anything I can do? Is there anything I can maybe sell if I have some things now that the economy is opening up a little bit? Maybe you have some items you can eBay or put on Craigslist, and things that you might be able to sell and get a couple extra bucks and put towards a little nest egg. So there's little things that you can do to try to prepare yourself a little bit better. Yeah, that's awesome, Pamela. Cool, very cool. And she says Mozart's Requiem for a Mass is my go-to project music. I don't, that's never come up on my list, so I will have to add that to my Pandora list and see what that's all about. That's pretty cool. Really cool. I like it. Um, cool. I'm going to start wrapping things up. If anybody has any questions, please ask them, and I'll get to them before we wrap it up here. Let me go through my notes real quick. So I wanted to show you this. This popped up in my meditation app. So I use, if you haven't heard me say it, I use Headspace. And so after Headspace, they give you this little thing, that kind of sums up what your meditation was. And this one was: the idea of a gentle stream can be a useful reminder on how to watch the mind. So if you think to yourself, you're picturing sitting next to a stream, and the stream is a visualization of your thoughts, like your stream of thoughts. And so, you don't want to go with the flow because you can get distracted. If you see like a stick or a leaf flowing down the stream and you focus on it and watch it the whole way down, you miss everything else that goes by. So, you don't necessarily want to go with the flow and get completely distracted. The goal in meditation is to sit back and just watch all of the thoughts, observe them and let them go, and that's it, right? And so there's almost sort of making a correlation with, like, maybe it makes me think about going with the flow in just about anything. If you get caught up in going with the flow in a social way, you are swept up in things that are outside of what you might want to do yourself. So you have to kind of take that opportunity to say, like, focus on, like, be mindful of what you want to be doing at the moment. So don't go with the flow all the time. Observe. Other times you may want to go with the flow. It just depends. It's all a season, right? So I just thought that was an interesting little thing at the end of my meditation today. So that's all I have for today. I thank you all for joining me. I appreciate all your comments. Everybody have a great Tuesday. I keep wanting to say Monday, but have a great Tuesday. I will see you again tomorrow on Hump Day Wednesday at 10 o'clock. Keep moving forward, and I will talk to you soon.